That's
I don't
cool.
know.
Yeah, welcome to
Hi.
Bye World. Hello, everybody. It's another Wednesday, Investigative Tarot, and Jackie and I are so excited and so happy to have medium Betsy Palmer join us today for our case. And the case was actually brought to us by Betsy, and I'll give her in a moment. I'll give her a chance to explain all that. But just really quick, well, we don't really have a lot of people popping in the chat yet. But of course, all of Betsy's links are in the description. Um, just Betsy offers workbooks. You know what? I'm just gonna let Betsy everything that you need for Betsy, for everything that's Betsy. It's in the description. Her channel. Click there, and it'll just take you to all her links. There where you can connect and get her information. Hello, Sherry, my dear. Thank you. And
Hey,
Ben's
Ben.
joining us again. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Ben. And so I guess we can get started. And so for people watching on playback, thank you again for being here. And we're going to be, Jackie and I are going to be adjusting a little bit of how we do our shows from now on. But normally, I know a lot of times we invite people during the show to share what they get in chat. But it was brought to my attention that sometimes the extra energies of people coming in may make it difficult for readers to stay focused on our end because of all the different energies, because we all have different energies. So either at the end of the show, if anybody's pulling cards, they can share then or insights, or even after the show. They can post in the comments, which would really be actually very beneficial to us, because if you get anything or you pull anything, sharing that in the comments will help get the channels up in the algorithms and all that good stuff. So hey Hershey, thanks for joining us. And so from there on, any information anybody might get during our show, don't put in the chat until the very end or afterwards, preferably in the comments, and then that way we can have that dialogue after our connections are all shut down, and then we can look at what we got. So all righty, Betsy, you got the chair. Go for it, dear. And thank you again for joining us and doing this with us.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity to join you guys, you gals. I really do appreciate it. And cold cases are interesting to me, but I have I enjoy doing the lives. I don't like it when I get randoms. So I have an agreement with my guides about cold cases. Let me start with that. As a medium, boundaries are a beautiful and healthy thing, right? We want to be able to have a nice balance in our lives. So I have an agreement with my guides. Don't send me somebody who's going to walk me through the last whatever experience of their lifetime and show me all the details and who was there and where they are and all this. Don't do that unless you put the people that need to hear that information in front of me. I need the people that need to hear the information. That has to be a part of it. So I do I've done a few lives about cold cases, not a whole lot, but I think, and I have done a little bit here where I live, which is of course in Hawaii on the island of Maui. Did a little bit, but not a whole heck of a lot. And again, it's because I want to respect all the people that are still here on this side. I want to respect their privacy and to not do anything that would make them feel violated, infringed upon. And yes, so I liked permission to do stuff here on this, and where we are here on this one. I think it was important to bring this case out and to be discussed and talked about to keep the momentum going for this case. So I'm getting a little already a little spin. So yes, I am a psychic medium and channel. I do I have a website that's probably linked below, mediumbetsypalmer.com. I offer private readings either in person or video or phone, And I do have a workbook on Amazon about developing these skills. I think it's a very enriching and fulfilling part of my life. And I think if you're curious about it, I would hope the same for you folks. So reach out if you have any questions for me.
Awesome. Thank you. And just really quick, what I usually like to add to at the beginning of all videos for anybody who's new and they just happen to click on, these readings are for educational entertainment purposes only. Jackie and I, or Betsy, have not been reached out by the family of Tonee or whoever we're reading on, or law enforcement. This is just to look at a missing persons case, bring their story to light, and that we get no money from doing this. So this is all just, it's just done from the heart. For me, at least, I can speak. It's done from my heart to be able to help give victims a voice, possibly a family member who might come along, see it, might get something from it that they can use. This is just, a couple ladies were coming together and pulling cards to try to bring light to this case, to whoever we're reading on. And today we are reading on Miss Tonee Marie Turner. And when I saw her middle name, because I have the same middle name. And hello to everybody too that's coming into chat. Sherry is here, Gerald is here, Hershey, Claudia is here. Hello, Sherry. Good to see you. Dina. Hello, my dear. Thank you for being here. And for people coming in, again, we are going to hold off on anybody sharing information on the case in chat, just so that we can kind of keep our energies focused on our cards and our questions at this time. But afterwards, either in chat when we're done or preferably in the comments after, would be great. So Tonee Marie Turner, she was brought to my attention by Betsy, because I did ask Betsy after I invited her to join Jackie and I if there were any cases in Hawaii that she wanted to focus on, because that's being her hometown. And like she said, she explained to me, people are very private. People like to keep anything that goes on over in Hawaii within the family, within the community, and that was totally understandable. And I respect that. And again, too, this is not anything that we come across or we discuss is all cannot be used in a court of law. Of course, everybody and anybody is always innocent until proven guilty. There's always, this is just alleged. This is just us speculating, throwing cards, trying to get a feel of what happened to this young lady in the case. So Tonee came to me via Betsy, and Tonee went missing on December 30th, 2019. And at the time, she was 22 years old. She was a fantastic artist. Of course, I caught my heart too, is that she was an artist, a fellow artist. She was a ceramicist. They said she liked to, do painting and everything else too. She loved to dance. She worked at a fabricating facility called Studebaker Metals, and I guess she liked to work on jewelry as well. She's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the Hazelwood. She lived on Hazelwood Drive, so she is in the area of, because there's a lot of places that were being names of areas that were being brought up while we were looking into this case. But she lived in Squirrel Hill. Okay, there we go. So, well, in and around the area of Squirrel Hill. So what happened is that in 2030, Tonee was stopping by in Dobra Tea, where she loved to get her tea and her drinks. It's a little tea shop that she usually always hits before going home. It's right on the bus route. And according to the bus driver, he picked her up, dropped her off at her street, Hazelwood Drive, and she got off at a street called Giddings Street. And basically, that was the last time anybody had, seen or heard of her. There's just a lot of kind of inconsistencies. And again, Tonee is a biracial young woman. She's absolutely beautiful, and her case has not gotten hardly any, if not at all, coverage in the media. And I will go and personally say that I like looking into cases of people from different cultural backgrounds, ethnicities, because unfortunately, a lot of minority cases do not make the mainstream news. And Tony's case should have been really out there on the news. I have not heard of her until I learned of her from Betsy. So by 6 p.m., her sister Sydney apparently had gotten a phone call that a individual, now this goes into discrepancies from here to there about who actually found them, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But Tonee's belongings, some of her belongings were found on a bridge called the Homestead Grays Bridge, which was a good 2 miles from her home. And this is a bridge that a lot of people do not like to walk on just because it's high, the way the wind is. It is just, it's a very uncomfortable walk for a lot of pedestrians. You know, it gets a lot of vehicle traffic, but with pedestrians, it's not, you know, a great bridge that people like to walk on. And this bridge, the discrepancies, well, I'm going to actually stop right there. Moving forward, ladies, what would you like to do? Do you want to pull cards and to get a little extra feeling about, or do you want me to continue on more with the case? What would you like?
I'll pop in the things that in the beginning, in the reviews of what I saw. Well, number one, this came to me when Heather said, do you know of any cases? And I said, no, I don't. And then very like within moments, I heard Pittsburgh. So I looked up Pittsburgh cold cases, and this was the very first photo, the very first case that came. So I feel very much that this was divinely guided.
Yeah.
So what they said was that the belongings were found on the opposite side of the bridge, almost 3 miles away from where she would have gotten off. And it was very cold. It was December 30th. So it was very cold. And I listened to a podcast that said it's a 50-minute walk from where she got off at the bus to where the belongings were found.
Yeah.
And that it seemed highly unlikely that anyone would have walked all the way across the bridge, because what the police are going on was that she chose that site to take her life. Is one of the suggestions. But it doesn't add up to walk all the way across the bridge, deposit your belongings, and then come back across the bridge, even part way. To me, that seemed a little too convenient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was staged to make it look like, to me, that was my.
And Heather, did you find information that her wallet was found a couple of months later at a different place?
This is where things get a little funky. So one story is, and I have it written down over here. So with Homestead Bridge, first, a firefighter found items. Well, I don't know if it was riding a bike or whatever. They said a firefighter found the items and reported it, and it got to the family. Second, a man's young son found items and took him to father and then there. Third, items appeared weeks later, and I believe it is the wallet under one of Tonee's missing persons flyers. And then another one was the discrepancies of the actual items that were found. There's at least 4 good discrepancies, and I went to multiple different articles and watched a couple of videos. So it doesn't seem that everybody can be on the same page about, what's going on, what was left at the bridge, and the items.
I will pop her picture back up here again real quick.
Yep, that's Tonee.
She looked like the nicest person, didn't she?
Yep.
Yes.
She's a wonderful artist too. Mm-hmm.
And she loved music. She was a very I want to say bubbly personality, that she loved to dance. She loved music festivals. She wanted people to join her in celebrating through dance, that she was very well liked, and she was a very petite individual. I think
5'3".
I think this comes into play because she was a very, very petite person. And my first information that I received from her, because I saw this article and it said she's on CCTV getting off the bus stop and walking to an alley. And what she showed me was, I was here one moment and the next I was gone.
Now, I didn't find that the CCTV footage, because the police aren't saying anything. They haven't released any information whatsoever. And Dateline even reached out to them last month when they did a quick, brief update, and they still would not. I mean, they wouldn't even respond to Dateline about any updates on this case. And it's been, 3 to 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. I asked my universal decision maker, which is a Mardi Gras coin. I do 3 coin tosses for yes and no. And I asked, was she abducted? And I got a yes. To me, I have not been shown any darkness in her personality. Like, I did see some mention of depression, but as we know, this is often what the media spins when it is someone who is not a teenager, is not beautiful, is not in certain narrow category of physical appearance, right? If it's a beautiful teenage girl, there's a lot of attention. If it's a woman in her 20s or into other years, the first question is, well, how was she endangering herself? And so in the mentioning of depression or something, that's an out of saying, oh, well, she has a role in this here. I myself, she has not shown me any of that. If anything, I get the feeling that her sorrow was in relationship to personal relationships of hers that were important to her, that were not as she would like them to be, not as happy as she would like them to be. And I also don't feel like she recognized it. If this is correct in what I've been shown about abduction, she shows me that she did not recognize the person that touched her.
Interesting, because when I was throwing cards yesterday, I got the stranger card at one point, but I was also getting breakup. I was getting in tarot cards. I was getting an emperor over and over again on her. She was, just I was getting narcissist. I was getting ego. It was just all pointing towards somebody, some male in her life that she had no interest in or wanted to, and then I saw the breakup. I'm like, well, and then when I watched later on in an article, I found out that she actually did have a boyfriend. But I was getting, why are there legal proceedings? Why is there abuse? Why is there, because I was getting just a lot of like you said, there's a lot of sorrow with the personal relationship. And I'm like, okay, so, and then I found the article. Oh, she did have a boyfriend, but she was leaving him to go stay with her sister on the 1st of January, because at that time she was living with him and her best friend, but those both happened to be out of town together the day that week that she disappeared, which I thought was, wow, what a kind of a coinkydink,
Conveniently out of town.
So, but then I was getting cards saying that family have an idea. There's things that the family are not letting on about. I was pulling that from my one decks. I was getting illegal activities were occurring, and that someone witnessed what happened but were afraid to come forward. The killer has already been interviewed, the person who took her. So it's somebody that they spoke to. And of course, I got again profile indicator, narcissist or sociopath. I did get the house card. It says closer observation of the victim's living space may provide clues. I feel like because she was living alone at that time, because the boyfriend and best friend were out of town, people knew she was living alone. And I'm getting the feeling that she wasn't taken on the street, but she was surprised either right at her house or within her house. But, I'll see what you ladies get on that. But there are details saying that that was leading up to the investigation of things that were going on in her life. And I just want to see, and I was getting money cards. I was getting debt. I was getting the Five of Pentacles. I was getting the Tower card. So something to do with finances was also, like I said, again, I'm not sure if this was connected to her disappearance or if this was just something else going on in her life that was just compounding everything else before her disappearance. But what kept coming up, not with just me and my cards, but another channel reader, that there was some sort of jealousy going on. Someone was very jealous of her because she's a beautiful girl. She was talented. She was beautiful. She loved to dance. Everybody enjoyed her. And usually, sometimes when someone has that kind of light, that sometimes gets people who are in or around her very jealous. And I was getting that there was an accomplice too. So for me, it was interesting that both her boyfriend, who apparently must have been, I was seeing that, and again, of course, for entertainment purposes only, this is alleged, but I've been getting mail cards that were abusive. Things were cleaned up, things were covered up, and there was an accomplice. So I'm a little suspicious of the boyfriend and the girl and the best friend, to be honest. And I kept getting, the high priestess for her, the emperor, the tower cards, even from different decks. I kept getting the same ones from the haunted tarot and all of them. I'll just save the, so I don't go on too much so you ladies can share, but I'm just getting that there was a lot going on in her personal life and people know more, especially the family. And just really quick, too, ladies, I looked at several different articles. I even intentionally typed, who is Tonee's family? I could not find the name of any mother, father. Apparently, she has another sister besides Sydney. Her name wasn't brought up. I didn't see or find anybody in her family on video about her disappearance. I've only seen, I think, a friend of hers and her sister, Sydney. And I thought that was very interesting. Then I'll give it over to who wants to go next and share.
Strange. Is that me she's pointing at?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wrong way. I don't know how to point.
No, it's you, Jackie.
It's me, is it? I just pulled some, or well, I let these fall out while I was shuffling my Secrets Revealed True Crime Oracle. I'm going to just show them in order of how they come out. So I have suffocation. Now that needn't necessarily mean that she was suffocated, but maybe that she was just feeling suffocated by something or someone, I got murder suicide for whatever reason. Who knows? I got justice and karma. Did you say something there a while ago about legal proceedings, or was I hearing things? Okay.
No, I did get the justice card popped up a couple times. Yes.
Okay.
So something was going on. Mm-hmm.
And then, so I think maybe there was a few people involved because I got aiding and abetting. I got truth revealed. So hopefully suggesting that the truth will be revealed. I got impulse and rash decision. So again, it could be something to do with jealousy with the two, and maybe it was just kind of just happened just like that. I got accessory after the fact, which would make me think that there was someone else involved. So there was someone helped out, but then there was someone else helped out afterwards, kind of a thing, with the disappearing of the body and whatnot, because that often happens. And these two were the last two that came out, which I thought was interesting, lovers and poison. And again, not necessarily that someone poisoned her, but just that he was poisonous. You know, he was a toxic person, kind of a thing. So yeah, that's what I have anyway so far.
Yeah, I was feeling the boyfriend involved somehow, but yet Betsy, you said it was a stranger, so I'll let you share.
Well, so what I think is the boyfriend, since they were breaking up, she was moving out. The boyfriend and the roommate, it just said boyfriend and roommate, the stuff that I read, were conveniently out of town, and it seemed like completely dismissed by any investigation. I feel like that was a setup, and I feel like they had help. I think, Jackie, your cards resonated really strongly. The murder-suicide card that you questioned to me is because that's the question at hand. The family says one thing, the police say the other. The police are functioning under the assumption it was a suicide, and the family believes not. So everything resonated, and especially the last two cards. They just really chicken skin. But it was not a good relationship. It was not appropriate. It was the wrong relationship for her. It does feel like there were a lot of people in her periphery that that rolled in a not so great arena, and that she really didn't mesh with a lot of that. Maybe she had familiarity with it, but I don't feel like she was motivated in the same ways as these other people. And so that I get a little bit of a feeling of she was an outsider to this clan, an outsider, not thought of as family, the way some, gangs think of each other as family. I don't feel like it was necessarily a gang, more as much as a clan that didn't see her as a blood member of their clan, not the ties that bind. It could be the reluctance to do any further investigation is because perhaps there are people that would be investigating that would be leading themselves to their associates. That's just coming in. That's brand new. That it would be pointing the finger back to themselves, that there could be, people, right?
I was thinking something like that.
So it could be the investigation might lead back into some territory that they don't really want uncovered. But I would like to share it because we're kind of a half an hour in already, girls.
Yeah.
But I would like to share the number one thing that came for me ahead of time, which I haven't shared with Heather and Jackie yet. And this case has a similarity for me of another case that I looked at with a missing person, a woman, and a suspicious relationship in the background. And I actually went to the physical site where the proximity of where everybody thinks she might be. And I was shown that, well, number one, that person had been welcomed into the underworld by the beings that lived in the underworld in that spot, that they had taken her into their world and she existed there with them and she was at peace. I was also shown that hunting dogs stopped by where her last physical spot was from time to time and stop and sniff and take a moment for her. But she specifically told me to remain unfound means my name stays alive. That as long as she remains lost, her name will be spoken. She as a person will be remembered. And it is a little bit about the women whose cases are dismissed because they don't fit this narrow criteria of a sexy story, right? These cases that
Salacious,
thank you, that just aren't given any attention, that with the people not being found, it keeps their names spoken. It keeps their memory alive in the world, and it keeps reminding the general public that there is justice that is needed in this world, that that missing people all deserve justice and they all deserve effort. And so it's a little bit like I see women who are linking arms at the elbow, standing together in a circle, holding space for the possibility of equal treatment.
Now, when you say, can you explain the underworld? Because I was getting a little confused. So Tonee says where she lost her life, they've been there, and the dogs can tell that that's where she was, but she's in the afterworld.
No, that was the person that I investigated here had told me that the beings like the fae or the elves or the elementals or what have you that live beneath the earth, that have a different world, that she had been welcomed into their world, that since the humans rejected her, they welcomed her into their world. So that was that case. This one, no, I'm sorry if I gave you confusion on that one. I have not, but that's interesting what you just said, that the dogs alerted on a spot.
Because I thought you said the dogs had passed by the spot.
Hunting dogs had passed the other person. Yeah. The other person, they knew, the dogs here know where that person was. Because there's a lot of hunting in that area. They hunt wild pigs. So the dogs, the pig dogs here, they know where her spot was. Yeah.
Wow.
But I was playing a few cards again, and Lover's card, Jackie.
Love money.
So, yeah, it's just disgusting, because unless it's a salacious, what would get people to keep clicking on a young woman who's an artist, who lives in Pittsburgh, who happens to be biracial. Are they going to want to put her story? Is there anything that people would click on? Probably not, unless they added something that one might have been hint at something that was salacious, and then they would probably do that. But one of the cards that I had gotten yesterday mentioned something to do with corruption by either church, local law enforcement, state, that kind of card. And so one of the neighborhoods, there was a tip that was given to the police about an area, about, I would say, where is it here? It's a good, at least, 2 miles? No, that was the bridge that was 2 miles from home. This is about, here, let me just find it. It's an area called the Hill District. It's a rough neighborhood. Gangs, a lot of drugs go on there. It's a rougher neighborhood. And a tip came in connected to her case, and I think a friend and one of her sisters want to go and hand out flyers. It was on a street called Linton Street. I don't know if you want to pull cards to see but when you're saying, Betsy, that there were people in her periphery that were not on the up and up, that she didn't want to have anything to do with, the first card that I had mentioned with the deck was illegal activities were being taken place. So I'm wondering if people in her circle, things were going on. I don't know if she might have seen it, if she was going to turn somebody in. I'm not sure, but it was just interesting that you mentioned that, because it's called the Hill District, and local law enforcement actually had to escort her sister and her friend as they were dropping off flyers in that area, because that's how rough it is in there. And they said that was such a long distance. She never went there, so people don't know why her name or a tip was taken to her to that area. And I'm wondering if that was, where they had taken her after she was abducted.
I think you're onto something there, because an inanimate object just moved next to me.
Okay.
that the tip about her being in that neighborhood, I was a diversion.
Now, what I want to read on and see get what you girls or ladies, sorry, I still call us girls, ladies. What I want to try to figure out what is going on with this bridge. First, it was a firefighter was said to have found her items. Then it was some young man's son on a bike. For me, the discrepancies that were given and how they were found, the items, some were taken, some were left there, but then when they went back, those items were gone. To me, I also got, Jackie, the murder suicide card. And for me, when I read that, it was a murder, but they wanted to make it look like it was a suicide. And apparently there was a journal, and she had written about, feeling depressed, feeling sad, but you know what? We all go through that. And so I think, Betsy, that may be too why the law enforcement doesn't want to pursue this. And what's also coming across to me right now is that perhaps law enforcement doesn't really want to look into this case because of a person who's involved may be, because that there are, what do you call those, where the police have people in neighborhoods that they're narcs, basically. Informants, excuse me. Some informant of theirs might be involved or might be indirectly involved. And if they pursue it, they could maybe throw off something they're already looking into. Or let's just say, again, for entertainment purposes only, I will go out and say this. We know that not all law enforcement are clean, and that there are those that are involved on the take. Hey, we won't turn you in if you give us a little bit of a kickback of what we just busted you with. You know what I mean? I have family who was in the military who got addicted to coke and other stuff because, hey, you bust somebody for it, but anybody want it? And it would, so it's, I'm not knocking at all of our law enforcement men and women who put their lives out there or military, but it does happen. And a lot of times some cases just don't get followed through with because people are protecting somebody else. And Jackie and I had gotten similar cards, and so did Hershey when we looked at Delphi. So it's just in Flora, only a few minutes away. So I would like to know what's going on with this person who found her items. Was it a firefighter? Was it a young man? Who was it?
From what the information I gleaned, it was a young male that had a bicycle as transportation, was doing what he would have normally been doing on the bridge, found the articles, and then gave them to his father, who turned it in.
But then I'm trying to figure out, why would an article go ahead and say a fire? And I think it was an audio, a video, and another article that mentioned a firefighter. So I'm like, okay, people, are you not fact checking who, before you go and start? Because people are putting out firefighter and one person saying a young man's son. And I don't know if this was a way of, causing some more, smoke, smoke and mirrors.
Smoke screen. Yeah.
Smoke screen. So you pick up on it being an actual young man on a bicycle that found the items.
Yes, but
not a firefighter.
But right now, Tonee is like saying, "Hey, guy, hey." She's showing me somebody picking her up, probably coming from behind, and because of her size and their size, was like lifting her more or less effortlessly, like tossing a cookie into a vehicle.
And as you were saying that, again, I got, sorry, the Three of Swords, Page of Cups, and the Eight of Wands. It moved very fast. But yeah, because what I was feeling is that perhaps the person who took her was the one that was setting up the items and then going and saying, hey, look what I found. So I wasn't sure if the person who claimed to have found her items were involved or they just happened to come upon them and they're not a part of her disappearance.
Jackie, what do you think about that?
Well, when you were just talking there about someone grabbing her from behind and tossing her into a van or something. I just immediately thought 6'4". Like, I just thought someone really big and strong. Like, I mean, I'm 5'3" as well, so I can understand that kind of dynamic, you know. What are we focusing on again? Who found stuff?
Yeah,
or who took it?
because I want to find out, because one person is saying firefighter found the items, another one said a young man, a man's young son found the items. Betsy clarified that with Tonee, saying it was a young man that found her items. But I'm curious to see if the boy who found the items was actually involved in the abduction, because then you would need to go and say, hey, look what I found, to put in the suggestion that she had jumped, to try and take the eyes off of, you got the King of Wands.
But I also got something interesting just a bit ago that seems like so out of place for the conversation. It has to have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
What, Heather?
I kept getting that card over and over again yesterday. 3-4 different decks. I got that from my Haunted House Tarot. I got that from a generic tarot deck that a friend of mine gave me. I got that from my Heaven and Earth tarot deck. I kept getting the 6 of Cups, and I'm like, what does this person have to do with nostalgia, family? And that's why I was just like, wait a minute, is this a family friend? Was she trying? I could not figure out how the 6 of Cups played into it.
I myself think it's a little bit, because it is like fond memories of other days. I think this is Tonee communicating how she wants to be best remembered, is for the light that she brought to the world, not for the way she left it.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. And you got anything, Jackie? Because when I pulled for the young man who found the items, if he was involved, I got 8 of Cups, walking away, leaving them there. I got Temperance, and for on this deck here, it says cooperation, ego, cooperation on this deck. And then again, I got the Magician card, someone manipulating the scene, manipulating the narrative, the story. And I got the Magician in 2 other different decks too yesterday, the Haunted House and the Heaven and Earth. Hi, Linda.
When you say young man, are we talking kind of similar age to her? Like,
I couldn't find anything specific. The articles or the videos that mentioned that perspective of the story, or that version of the story, said it was a young man had been driving his bicycle, found some of the items, took a couple, gave them to his dad, and when they went back, or when they notified the police and the police went back, the ones that he had said he had seen that were no longer there, they were missing. And then, of course, again, a couple of weeks later or so, there's the wallet. But the wallet wasn't initially supposed to be with those original objects. So, yeah, they're really making sure people are chasing their tails around. Mm-hmm.
I asked the same question, and you know me, I usually pick the top card and the underneath card, but I just got a notion to keep taking from the top and see what the story was. And I have the King of Swords, which are demons in this deck. And this is a fella playing a game of chess, very strategic and whatnot. I have the Queen of Pentacles, which would be her. I have the Chariot, which is him luring her into a car to take her to uncertain end. So, yeah. So I think this guy was involved, whoever he is.
Yeah, I was.
Or that's what my cards say.
Yeah. Thank you.
Entertainment purposes only, YouTube.
Mm-hmm. And for my Heaven and Earth deck, I got the King of Swords too. I was getting a lot of like Knight of Wands too, just that really fiery, temper.
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, is this artistic? No, this was not her, because I was getting, no, the Queen of Wands came up, and I'm like, no, that's her. But a couple times that Knight of Wands came up, and but I also got, for him, first of all, he was very slow in revealing who he was, because I got the King of Cups, very loving, very kind. I was getting the Knight of Cups, the chivalry, Mr. And then all of a sudden, boom. And then I was getting the heavier cards. He later showed his true colors to her. Anything else, Betsy?
Yeah, my communication is still strictly from Tonee, and she is showing me her voice, what she wants us to know about her from her perspective. Like, so you guys have like the moving parts in your sphere. So she's like kind of keeping me with herself, and I was kind of shuffling my deck. Couple cards jumped out, and this one really confirms what my thoughts were. And this one's a little hard for me to show. This is Tonee.
Yep.
And this is something I didn't write down and I didn't talk about, was the involvement of the bridge, that maybe that is where she is, but maybe she didn't put herself there, because the second card that jumped out was that. So I don't think she's still on Earth, and I do think water has something to do with it.
I kept getting the river card yesterday. I have a card that says River Creek.
Yeah.
They haven't dredged the water. They said they haven't looked at the water, and it's been, unless they weighed her down with something so that she can't come up.
Yes, Rain's Kitchen and Garden. This one makes me want to burst out into tears. This one it's really hard for me to show it. It just seems very definitive to me.
But yeah, that card kept coming out of my handmade deck. I kept getting River Creek. And now what I'm interested in, or would like to know, if her boyfriend and her best friend were in on it, because I'm wondering why her best friend and boyfriend, because I know you said you didn't know that was one of her best friends, but there was an article that said referred to her, she was living with her boyfriend and her bestie. That's how they described it in one of the articles. And I don't know if her bestie and her boyfriend ended up hooking up. And
seems likely, but I think we should do them separately. Was the boyfriend involved? Was the best friend involved? I think those are two different answers.
Okay.
Well, the boyfriend doesn't want the answer. I think that's an answer in itself. Hey, yay.
Yeah.
I got a yes on his involvement. And he tried, and I can't tell you how many times that thing tried to run away.
Yeah, I got the 5 of Swords. There's the knife. I also got the 5 of Cups. And for me, I don't know if I feel like this was her. I there's that sadness, that grieving. She's, and she's got her hands on 2 cups. And so I'm wondering if she's got a suspicion. This shows that she had suspicions of them. And I did get the 9 of Pentacles, but for me, that's how people saw her. She wanted to be independent. She was beautiful. She was an artist. She had a full-time job. She was doing well by herself. But on the bottom, with that 5 of Swords, I got the 7 of Swords. So to me, yeah, her life was stolen. he took from her. Yeah. What'd you get, Jackie?
I have the 9 of Cups. I'm using my vampire Tarot of Vampires instead for a change. 9 of Cups and the Queen of Cups. Like I kind of read it as he wanted to be on his own, as in from her, you know, because maybe there was someone else he was. Now this is the Queen of Cups kind of. I think the actual imagery is like the Queen of Cups kind of healing this young lady or whatever, right? But because it's a vampire deck, obviously you kind of read it more as kind of maybe she's sucking the life out of her, you know. But I think in this case it's just, I don't know, it's maybe that he wanted to be away from her to kind of get with the other one, you know.
Mm-hmm. And of course, no names were mentioned in any videos or articles of the boyfriend. Of, you know, nobody's name involved in her life was shared except for her one sister and a friend of hers who helped create a mural in her memory to get her name and out, you know, and the mural gets moved around to different locations during, you know, in the city to keep Tonee's, you know, memory and case out in the open. I pulled from one deck on or Betsy, did you have anything you want to share? No, okay. I pulled on the girl and I got the 8 of Pentacles. To me, this was planning and she was involved in it.
Oh.
On the bottom, I got the Knight of Wands and he was a part of it. I think they were both in on it. I got the Fool card. I think Tonee got a wind of it. Kind of like that, or the naivety. I think she's suspected it because I kept getting High Priestess for Tonee, and I got it like the Queen of Cups for her as well, and she was very intuitive. She was very psychic. I mean, a lot of artists naturally are because they're tuning into that creative energy, that spirit that, you know, that moves us to create our art, and I think too. One of the reasons why she wanted to get away was I think she found out about them. Just get me out of here. And then I got that damn. This is the hangman, but there's skeletons in the closet.
Yeah.
There was something else going on, and well, I was going to shuffle this, but I looked down and I had the devil sitting there at the bottom of a different deck. So, but yeah, I was just going to ask my yes and no's to see if, you know, her best friend had, and I have no name. So
I got something a little different on the vibe of the best friend. Okay. I got that the best friend was not involved in her disappearance. That when I did my yes or no for that she was not involved in her disappearance, that it feels like the best friend and the boyfriend maybe did hook up. It feels like this out of town thing was well, you know, she's going to move out. So let's just get out of here and let's not be around while that's happening. Let's just go have some fun. And when we come back, she'll be gone and we don't have to worry about anything. And I see this woman agreeing with that, because when I asked what the woman's mindset was about all this, I got this card, and it's the second time it came up for me in this conversation.
3 of Cups. Okay.
So I think innocent of doing harm, guilty of not being that good of a best friend.
Yeah, I pulled yes or no's, and I kept the devil, but I also got the 5 of Pentacles again. There was a lack, there was a scarcity in the relationship. The way that her sister or best friend in one of the articles described it was they wanted to be together, but she couldn't be in close proximity to him. And that's why on the 1st of January, Tonee was going to move in with her sister. and her friends in Braddock. So for me, it's like if she was going to leave anyways and those two could do whatever they wanted, why still take her though? What
Wow,
was still
this
the
is really
motive?
hard to get answers on this.
And again, the Five of Cups, the Love card, Balance, the Chariot. I mean, the Devil.
I asked if the if the proximity issue was just him wanting to have the two women separated so he could have his cake and eat it too, and I got a no on that. So it feels like it feels to me intuitively like no, he did not want to continue any kind of contact with Tonee, but not out of benevolence.
Yeah. But why have her taken then? She must, unless she knew something that he was doing that was a part of that rough town part of town, with maybe dealing or something. I mean, I don't know if she, because they said up until before she left that there was no sign of her with text messages or with family showing that she was in fear of her life or anything. Did you get anything, Jackie?
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sense of the last one makes total sense. So I have the Eight of Cups. So
Okay.
now this was in relation to had the bestie anything to do with it. So I mean, this kind of said to me that she had kind of walked away from it or whatever, you know, she wasn't involved, so to speak. I have the Empress, which obviously is quite a different image in this one. The what you call it, Hermit. So maybe that he did it alone. And then I have the Three of Pentacles in this deck, which is two people. Well, the image is that the two of them are helping her, but maybe it's that the two of them put her down. But you know, I don't know.
What you get on your flip? Oh, I'm sorry, Jackie. Were you done, hon?
No, go on, work away.
Betsy, what'd you get on your flip top? Your coin. I love the sound of that.
Yeah.
It's just a weird ASMR sound that I like. It's just like, ooh, I like that.
Now I've forgotten what the last question was.
Oh no, I had asked if okay, so if she was already leaving and the boyfriend could have the bestie, you know, why did he still have her, you know, why did he allegedly still have her abducted and killed? What was the point? What was the motive of?
Oh, what was the motive? Oh, well, that one's not a yes or no. So I must have flipped on something else. Whatever I flipped on, I got a no. It was probably in relation to the bestie. It feels that whole situation there is just as convoluted as a three-way, and all of a sudden my heart is like going.
There was
oh my God! Look who's here, Kim. Hey, Kim.
Kim. Oh my goodness, Abundant Life Tarot. So for anybody in chat who doesn't know who Kim is, Kim has a channel where she also reads on true crime. She's even created her decks that Jackie uses. And
cool.
So, yep.
Cool. Oh, I will look forward to the comments that if you leave a comment, Kim, I will look forward to if you do a playback on this, because it does seem like there are more moving components behind the scenes, because there's just so many questions, there's so little information, as Heather keeps reminding us, that there's absolutely no names given to the public, zero names of anybody except a couple of her family members, Tonee's family members, but nothing, no names of any sort.
So I just got some interesting cards about the motive of why he still wanted her removed. To me, the first top three were all pentacles. There was something he was doing, I think, financially. I got, but for me also, he was also very, cards that I was getting was I kept getting the Emperor yesterday for him a lot. I also, again, I got the Knight of Wands. For me, very much this was him. Very narcissistic, sociopath. I don't know it's about sociopath, but very egotistical. I got the Princess of Pentacles. And for me, she was a student. She was going to school. She was full time, also working. She wanted to be an artist. So I think she was making her money. She was a student. She was doing all these things with her life. I got the money card. I got the wealth card. And for me, I feel with the working the full time, she was saving. She wanted to be somebody. She wanted to be an artist. And she was also, I forgot to mention, an educator. She loved to work with people, children, teaching them how to dance, to create. And I got the King of Pentacles. And for me, that's somebody, with money. For me, the King of Pentacles wants to control money. So for me, I'm wondering if that is because of her making her money and her saying, listen, I don't need you. I don't need you. I don't need your money. I've got my own. Or she was studying and had become aware of money that was being brought into the household from things that he might have been involved in because, again, of that neighborhood where someone said they had spotted her. And a couple other cards I got was, and what made me think of that, her having maybe information on him, because I was getting jurisdiction yesterday. I was getting, again, the Justice card as well. I feel like with her abuse, with his abuse towards her, I think she might have very well was going to maybe press charges also because of cards I was getting. I also got attack. I got assault. But look at this Queen of Swords, excuse me. She's holding a head. He knew. And there's the Justice and the Knight of Wands. That could have been her ready to come after him too. But I am feeling that, knowing what was going on, she had knowledge. There was money definitely involved. And that first card that I had gotten with illegal activities, not that she was involved with them, but I think she discovered or his connection with people or him in that circle that you were talking about, Betsy, in the beginning. And that threatened too his money as well. Yeah, she was going to come after him, but you laughed, so I'll stop right there. And what do you want to share?
Jackie, it looks like you've got something to share. Did you get something? Oh, you're muted, doll. You're muted, doll.
I am. There we go. Yeah, I've just been shuffling away here, holding out till I put them together. So I had this fly out, water as well.
Here's the water again.
I had jail or imprisonment. Right. And then things which tie in with the theory that the boyfriend is dodge. Addiction. So maybe there was some very dodgy dealings going down. I have meeting. And in the background there you can see the kind of outline of a person. So maybe she saw him having a secret meeting with someone, and saw what he was kind of up to and was going to do something about it. I video audio surveillance. So maybe she had some recording or something of him. Maybe he found out that computer and status. Now on this card it's single, married, widowed, divorced, but it could be any sort of status. Obviously it could be just that that he kind of was well known as, for example, say with the addiction card, a drug dealer or whatever, and that she was going to take him down a peg or two by kind of getting the law after him or whatever. It could be that kind of status that she was going to caused trouble for him, and he had to disappear her, shall we say?
But I think too, if you're a narcissist and you got, you know, possibly even that sociopath tendencies, if you see somebody that, you know, even if they don't want you, and you see them as this huge future ahead of them, there is that strong sense of jealousy. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I can't have you, and then on top of that, you know, just being downright evil. And I did get the revenge card too yesterday. I'm just pulling to see if he had anything to do with.
So I keep getting
Drugs.
more communication from Tonee.
Okay.
Heather, do you want to go with your cards? You can. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you know what? It's weird because I wasn't focusing on. I was thinking of one thing, but I was shuffling, so I don't trust the cards. So I'm going to go ahead and reshuffle. So go ahead and share.
So what I get from Tonee is she's saying wishful thinking on her part, that they could, despite all the dealings involved, she was hoping that she could move on with her life, that they could find a peaceful resolution, because this was somebody that she had cared very deeply about, and she, as many young women do, hope to maintain some kind of a loving relationship, either as seeing each other less frequently, or just maintaining a friendly relationship, just not closing him out of her life completely, but also not being so completely submerged in what was going on. Do I feel like there was unsavory characteristics here? Yes. Do I feel like there was a lot of questionable things going on in his life? Yes. And her knowing that wasn't her path, because, as Heather, as you have said, she was a student. She was employed as a metal fabricator in a shop, and she also taught ceramics in her school. So her path was going well for someone her age. She was doing quite well in following her desires for herself as coming into adulthood. And I just keep getting wishful thinking that we could have separate independent lives and still maintain some kind of a bond with each other. Wishful thinking.
So really quick, thank you. You validated something for me yesterday. I was getting a couple of times. I was getting the Seven of Cups, and this was one of the ones from the deck. So, Seven of Cups, daydreams, wishes, fantasies. But what something really I was given this deck as a gift, and I shared this card with Allison yesterday. I haven't talked to her about it yet, and I'm looking at, because we all know basically the Seven of Swords is typically like a theft or something sneaky leaving, and I'm looking at this going, why would it say it's a hopes and wish card? And that came out, and that card just jumped right into my mind when you said her wishful thinking, and the word wish. I've been trying to figure out why they would put wishful thinking on this card, but for me it's just like a validation, because that could be what that deck was trying to get across to me for her. And you just validated when you said wishful thinking. I mean, for me that feels like a connection, so I just wanted to share that. Jackie, you got anything? Oh, no. Betsy.
No, that, and even with the card, the way the guy, there, it's always depicted with an armload of stuff looking behind. It's like, I'm leaving out of here with everything I can carry.
That was her. Yeah. So I'm just going to shuffle for because I have a deck called the Clarity Tarot. which has yes and no's on it. I created my own, but this one here. So I'm just going to ask if ask what? Oh, if the boyfriend was selling or
Oh,
dealing,
yeah.
was either dealing, selling, well, the same thing, dealing, or I already feel yes, but I just wanted to see what my cards. And what's the first card that comes out again? Justice. So she really wanted justice. She really wants justice for herself. Justice needs to be. I mean, I know they all do.
I got a yes on the boyfriend question.
Oh wow. Yep. And there's the Tower. Again, I got the King of Cups, Mr. Emotional, like, oh, I love you, da 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 da. I'm all this, but I got this yesterday too with her with this relationship. Eight of Swords. He mentally, she was trapped, and to me, this also feels him taking her, being trapped, being bound. I got the Knight of Wands, which is typically in her deck a no card, but it came out reversed, so I'm going to take that as a yes because it's in reverse. And then I got the Tower again, like I did yesterday. So yeah.
I just heard her say I was in over my head. That this was someone this gentleman was so complicated that she was in over her head being involved with this person. That susceptible, yes, to the sweetness offered by them, but just being so complicated and so many things that she was just too young to understand and know how to deal with.
So does she say that they're going to find her soon? Or is she connected to that water in a way where she won't be able to get to the surface? I'm seeing like there was something tied to her.
I'm thinking, will she be found very soon? No, but will some remains be found someday? I'm getting a yes. Let me see if I can check in.
You got anything, Jackie, you want to share?
Just when asking that question, was the boyfriend involved in anything dodgy? This just flew out. What? Knife for stabbing. But the way I'd take this in relation to that question will be a kind of a, like, the phrase "you hit the nail on the head" kind of a thing. Like if you were throwing darts and you got the bullseye. Do you know that kind of?
Or he stabbed her in the back, basically.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I think so.
So I just got the fastest yes ever that remains will be found someday.
Wow.
Okay. Because they haven't dredged, as far as I know. This is what's weird. If the police feel that, or because of the scene being created to look like it was a suicide, then why are they not dredging up the lake unless they feel that, well, because it was, we're not going to be bothered. You know what I mean? You just never know with law enforcement. If her items were there, why would they not be? And this keeps coming out too. So, yeah. I think it's time to stop. Oh, and this kept coming up too yesterday, debt. So I'm wondering, was there a debt that he owed somebody? Or was there some kind of debt involved? Because I kept getting the debt card, the 5 of Pentacles. No. Oh, something weird. I'll wait till Betsy's done.
It might have been the debt might have been a karmic debt she had, because when you said debt, I was like, karmic? So
I was just thinking about something because of the differences between the items and stuff and whatnot in her wallet. I'm wondering if the boyfriend too might have been in debt with a dealer or something. And
it's almost a given.
well, my
Right?
crime cards yesterday said that one of them that came out said that the killer kept a souvenir, and I'm wondering if some, because Tonee did have piercings on her body, and I'm just wondering if maybe one of the items he kept from her was something where he could give somebody to help pay off his debt. And that might have been part of the reason too, was because she had some sort of assets. Because the wallet, they didn't say whether or not cards were gone. There was absolutely nothing. It was like the police were just like, oh no, we're not going. The articles couldn't be consistent. Some of the video with the TV wasn't consistent. There was just been no consistency. Just a lot of smoke and mirrors in this case. And I'm sorry I haven't been paying attention to the chat, just staying focused. Linda,
Thanks,
we were going to
Kim.
save up. Oh, Kim left. Bye, Kim.
No, Kim has no, she put up a post on her own page tagging us all and thanking us for doing the reading and asking people to watch it and stuff. So thanks, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. So Linda, from now on, when we do our lives, I know Jackie and I have in the past have encouraged people to share in the chat, but we're thinking that perhaps because that's a lot of energy, a lot of people's personal individual energies being put in the chat, it could very well affect how we read as readers on the case, kind of like a distraction. And so we thought maybe when we're done finally pulling our cards and we're set, if anybody wants to share that in the chat, or even better afterwards, putting in the comments, that way it helps, the video get more track because of the algorithms with the comments. But I am going to share this. She's guilty of having relations with the guy, but not guilty of her. Oh, we're going back to the girlfriend. I think that was way back there. But I just wanted to make sure that I was saying hi to everybody, and thanking everybody for being here.
I'll be looking forward to seeing how folks responded to this one, because there's just so many unanswered questions, and because of that, I think this was an even better case to take a peek at, because there is so little information about the people involved, that this is a very good way to highlight the importance of marginalized women having justice. So
Yeah.
I'll be looking forward to some of the feedback. If anybody wants to say anything real quick.
So were you done, Jackie, pulling cards and sharing? Then we'll see what. Okay.
Unless there's any more questions.
Well, yesterday I had been asking questions about was the connection to her job, and I really wasn't getting anything to do with a boss or anything. We all did get validate, all three of us. Thank you for the boyfriend being involved. There was something called Highway 80, which I think is near or around the bridge, and so someone said that there may be a Highway 80 connection. So if anybody gets those.
Heather, I heard a podcast that said the reference to Highway 80 was a great distance away, and it made absolutely zero connection to any of the physical evidence discovered. It was mentioned in some reports, and it was she would have had to travel by a vehicle to be at Highway 80.
Unless she was picked up, because we saw her getting thrown into a car. But I don't know if Highway 80 goes into that part of town that's not good. Nope. Okay.
No, the podcast I listened to was uncanny, because there was a woman and a man on it, and the man grew up in that area and knew all the geographical references. But it had been a while since he'd been there, so he wasn't sure what the neighborhood was like in the hill. He said when he was young, it was a bad neighborhood, but he didn't know if it had improved. But he said Highway 80 is nowhere near any of this and makes zero sense on any of it. So, but again, there's a lot of conflicting information on this one. So that like you said, maybe
And-
somebody transported her there. Maybe she was seen there.
And again, too, with no names being released, my other cards were saying that a friend knows, has suspicions. I was getting cards that I kept getting family. I was getting DNA. So somebody in the family must have an idea. And I don't know if that's why names aren't being released to protect the family so that nobody else in the family. It's just, yeah, so much seemed like it was being intentionally held back and confused in the media.
Yeah.
But to make you but that's what pisses me off, because this young girl does not deserve that. Nobody deserves that. And I don't care if that involves throwing off a case or an informant or something. It's just I don't know. That's something. Ooh, let's see, what time is it? Oh, Betsy, we don't want to keep you too much longer. But I'm just curious if the reason why law enforcement isn't really pursuing this is because they're protecting an informant. I think it is bridge over troubled water.
Yeah. And unfortunately, our ability to dig is not that great. For me, the importance today, which I'll just banging my drum, saying the same thing over and over again. I just want to reinforce that my interest in this today was to highlight the importance of marginalized women having a voice in justice.
Yeah, that's unfortunately that's how. Oh, yeah, I think so too. I just went ahead and wanted to throw a few cards. That's the key. Yep. I asked, is law enforcement not really pursuing because they're trying to protect an informant or somebody involved? And I got, again, the Seven of Swords, keeping people, hiding things. People are looking. Let's keep hidden. There's, again, the King of Pentacles. To me, that feels like this is their informant. They're sitting on a wealth of information. I got the Three of Swords again. There's the dagger right into the heart, and kind of like a nailed it, sort of. I got the Eight of Wands. Yep. And then for me, the kicker for me was the world card. Her holding her key in her hands. It's like that's the key. I got the key card. She's holding the key.
I thought it was a scissors.
Yeah, for this whole time
Only joking.
reading, for some reason, I always thought that was a scissors, because I don't really read the booklets because I want to build a connection with the images and the energy with the cards myself. And I said key. I go, oh my god, I thought it was a scissors. But hey,
I did just ask also, does law enforcement have a reason that it will benefit them for this case not to get heard? And I got yes. And again, it was difficult to get the question answered. So it was still hiding. But yeah, that there's a reason why it will be helpful to law enforcement not to have this go further.
I like how you phrase that. We have to have Betsy on where I'm so I can read. Oh, that was a good way of phrasing that question, But yeah, I swear, if I was young again and I was starting out, I would definitely do a minor in forensics or law, criminal history, law enforcement, something like this, because I just, it's fascinating to me. Not, saying that people's deaths and murders are something that I'm like, oh yeah, but for me, it's fascinating because of the things that you can do to be able to help people. And let's see. And Kim said the map makes sense as to why they are tight-lipped, protecting family or close connections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dina says I couldn't handle the gore. Yeah, that has to be hard. Okay, so, but Dina had gotten something sooner, and I'm trying to find out what you had shared, Dina. Rain said the disease of hope. Yeah. And Kim agreed. Okay, Hershey had to go. Thanks for hanging out, Hershey. Wow, I must. Oh, so yeah, this wasn't. She's guilty of having relations with the guy, but not guilty. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's not her fault. She
The
was
bestie.
murdered. Yeah, gotcha.
Jackie,
I had to figure that out.
I would love to hear your impressions of this case.
God, I don't know. Like, I do think it's to do with the boyfriend. And I mean, I did get kind of cards that would suggest that he was into dodgy dealings, what with the whole addiction card and stuff. I had parent follow it earlier on, and I put it back in. I took no notice of it. But seeing as we don't know anything about the parents anyway, or anyone, but this just came out then as well, daughter, and it's not unlike her, you know, as in looks wise. I have outside. Now, I mean, we know it's outside, so I don't know if there's some deeper meaning into that or not. But I have karmic connection, which has only come up once before in a reading for me. Jail or imprisonment came up again. Like, do we know anything about the boyfriend? Like, since is he in prison for anything else? Or
We don't even know the boyfriend's
nothing?
name. We know all we know
That's
is Tony's
the-
missing.
Yeah.
Her
How old he
sister's asking
was,
for help.
how long they know each other, nothing.
Yeah.
He's a phantom.
Oh.
Mental health. Yeah.
And I have mental health. I mean, that could be to do with, like, if he was in debt because of all his drug dealings and struggling to find a way to pay back his suppliers and this kind of thing, you know, that's kind of just what I would get from those few, you know. But you remember earlier on, like, I had the King of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, which I said was him and her, and then I had the Chariot, which in the Haunted House deck is the driver ushering someone into the car, which kind of said to me him throwing her in a car. And what was that last card? Oh, 10 of Swords. It was the 10 of Swords. So, you know, it just all looks like it is entertainment purposes only, YouTube.
Only.
Is the boyfriend for whatever reason. And I don't know, is it even, I don't get a sense of it been to do with the other one that he may or may not have been involved with. I just, it seems to me more to do with his dodgy dealings and his money or whatever, you know. I don't know.
And Betsy, you mentioned earlier that she says this was a complete stranger. He was out of town, but he probably had arranged it for someone. Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think him being out
So
of
there is a
town
witness.
was methodology.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so hopefully, because I was getting the card saying that somebody may eventually come forward. I'm like, may, you know, but so, yeah. But they did interview people. That one card said, and the people they interviewed need to be interviewed again. So, and Dina, oh, sorry, go ahead.
And I did ask, sorry, because I'm interrupting. I did ask if she will ever be found, and I got an eventually something will be found. Yeah.
It'd be nice if it was soon, you know. I mean,
I don't think
knows?
so. I don't think so. And I think it'll be random. I think it'll be somebody stumbling upon something more than investigative.
Yeah.
Just like somebody like, hey, what's this doing here?
Yeah. Because the weather patterns are changing. There is a lot more flooding going on. And I'm wondering, you know, if because of that, maybe undercurrents might be able to pull her up at some point where, you know, whatever. Because I'm feeling like she's being held down because at 5'3" and 130 pounds, she was a lightweight. So you need to attach something to her to make sure that she's, you know, she's weighted down. Otherwise, boom, she's going to, you know, come right up. And
well, it would only be if they pulled the finger out and actually went and did some searching for her that they would find her if she was at the bottom of the ocean or the river or whatever.
The river. Yeah.
I do need to add this. Thanks, Tony. She just reminded me that I should, in my closing thoughts on this, is to convey what she showed me was that in her final hours, minutes, hours, whatever that would be, that she was out of body in an observational mode and not suffering. She was not in pain. She was not in fear. She was observing what was going on. She understood what was happening, but she was not panicked. Was she happy? No, about what was going on, but she was observing it, and she was in acceptance of the inevitability of what was going to transpire, but she was not suffering.
And one of the cards I had kept coming up yesterday, and just before I came backstage for the show, I was getting the word drug or drugged. So I feel at some point, and that's why.
Yeah.
Oh,
She was. Yeah.
And Dina did share.
Jackie, did you just get a something?
yeah. No, well, I had the poison card, or I had lovers, remember, and poison.
Yeah.
And I had said, like, I was thinking that maybe it was just that he was a poisonous person, that there was a kind of a toxic relationship with him, but that would tie in with that,
Mm-hmm. Putting something in there.
Wow.
Man. And Dina got the Princess of Wands. And so yeah, that would have been her. She was young, she was creative. She had that bright, bubbly personality. She was, I mean, yeah. That her and the Queen of Wands, with the creativity. I think she won. Yes, she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Claudia had, she has a sub discipline in forensics. Very
Wow.
cool, Claudia.
Cool.
And yeah, toxic relationship. And so,
And I'm being asked to share this for
okay.
all of us in just a moment, for just a few heartbeats, to tap into whatever emotion we would experience if we got the news that Tonee what had been found, and that she was being laid to rest, and what that would feel like, the relief that would feel like for all of us, to just take a moment and a couple of breaths in that space to bring that into the physical.
And I just had the word summer jump into my mind. It was just like, boom, summer. I saw yellow and the word summer. So hopefully maybe be summer of this year. And that beautiful mural, if people go and look her up online, her one friend helped create a beautiful mural of Tonee.
Yeah. I can imagine placing flowers somewhere for her.
Yeah. And her story getting out, but being laid to rest. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the thing to hold, is right in creative manifestation, right? To see yourself already there. It's already happening. So let's bring that into the physical world. We can do that.
That's lovely. I like it.
And hope that there's more equanimity in the future with cases being shared, and and working out. So if anybody who sees this, share her story. So and so read on this person today. They're in Pittsburgh. Oh, really? I have a friend who lives in Pittsburgh. Who is this? Oh, yeah, we have heard of her. And get the word out. Let us start, rippling out. The more we get these women, these children, these gentlemen that go missing, their names out there, the energy out there, start bringing them home. There's a stronger likelihood of that happening. So, Kim was still here. Thank you, Kim. And
Yes.
Kim, it would be interesting if you did a read on your channel on Tonee at some time. I have actually found, we read on a young lady named Mercedes Vega, and I didn't know about Mercedes either. She was a biracial young woman, and I came across her on Kim's channel, and I was like, oh, let's read on her. So let's just all really start sharing names and getting names out there, and keeping people, like you said, Betsy, in the forefront. And doesn't matter what age, we all deserve to be, our cases, we all cases, all missing persons, murders, all that, everybody deserves. It shouldn't, be for a select few, or for ratings. So, all right, Heather will get off her soapbox. So, Betsy, thank you for joining Jackie and I again so much. It was a pleasure. It was awesome to have you. And everybody, thank you for sharing in the chat at the end. And if anybody was pulling anything that, or later on, that they want to share, please put in the comments. we would love to see what you get, because some of those cards can help validate what we were getting, and that really helps, you know, not only the channel, but for me personally, it builds self-confidence and validation, knowing that, you know, connecting with the cards and interpreting them properly, and really, you know, doing the best job that we can. So thank you again for everybody.
Everyone
Thank
in
you.
the chat. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a little idea. Kim, you
Okay.
might like to join us sometime.
Yes. Oh, last time I was at her in her live, I said, Kim, we still want you to join us.
Oh,
So, yep.
Good
Believe
stuff.
me, I've been on her. I've been like, Kim, we would like to have you.
One of us will get her.
Yep. We're gonna get you, Kim. But yeah, Kim has wonderful cards that she sells for readings. So yeah, definitely
they're
check out her channel, everybody. And again, thank you, Dina. Great live, ladies. Thank you. And we will see everybody on our next show. So
Thanks,
bye.
guys.
Yep.
Ho